Hello, welcome back to the Prestige TV podcast feed. I'm Joanna Robinson.
I am Marta Dresnick, and I love salad.
Rob Mahoney, we missed you.
I missed you. I missed being on the show. I missed the start of Furious,
You
and
did.
I'm very upset about it. This is a wonderful show.
Are you furious about it?
No, not quite to that level. But
Wow.
look,
You've already forgotten the rules of yes and on the podcast, Rob.
On the contrary, I'm not here to step on women's rage.
Oh,
I'm
here to
acknowledging
listen.
I'm acknowledging the boundary and backing up respectfully.
All right, we're here to cover Furious, the Hulu show, which you can also watch on Disney, some light family fare on Disney Plus if you prefer. We covered episodes 1 through 4. Our pal Yassi Salek stepped in for Rob to cover that last week. That was a fairly chaotic podcast, not just because...
It was a delightful podcast.
Oh, it's a delight, always. Time with Yassi is always a delight. Time with Joanna not organizing her thoughts over the course of 4 episodes. Chaotic.
Oh, come on.
We're covering one episode today.
It does simplify things a little bit.
A much clearer sort of thing. So up through episode 5 of Furious, Pick a Sticker is what it's called. If you've not watched up through episode 5, I would recommend you do that because there are several revelations, twists, and turns inside of this episode. We lost yet another beloved character actor. And before we get into any of that, and we do have some emails, but I wanted to just sort of like off the top, Rob, you were, jet setting around Europe.
I was.
But still answering emails because work-life balance eludes us all.
Who knows it?
And I was like, Rob, Furious, it's a show we should cover. And then you had to come back and sort of like cram it because you just got back.
Had to.
But first of all, you were like, if you like the show, I'll like the show. What a compliment. Secondly, did you like the show?
Absolutely, I did.
Tell me what you
I
thought.
think this is like a pretty remarkable piece of television, to be honest. It is so expertly drawn in terms of the lead characters especially, so well balanced. I just like that they don't make anyone be one thing. Like everyone is super messy and they're living in a fucked up world with fucked up systems and making compromises constantly. I mean, that's our kind of show.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you support the character Catherine Grace killing that shelter lady?
I thought you were going to say just in her murders more generally.
Yeah, more generally, sure. But specifically, shelter lady, that seems to be the one that people are a little perturbed that I supported. I don't support that.
No. But other murder.
The dudes who were involved in trafficking children? Yeah.
See, this backs me into a corner as someone who is famously both anti-murder and anti-human trafficking. Who am I to support?
Yeah, but which one are you more anti?
Look, the human trafficking is not a good look. It's not good for anybody.
Okay.
And that may sound glib, us talking about it in this way, but I feel like we have some license, given the weird tonality that you and Yassi talked about in the first 4 episodes of the show. It is a miracle that they are able to pull off something this heavy consistently with a grim sense of humor about it while kind of poking at the characters. And I think the victims themselves being fleshed out into actual human beings who are not simply defined as this one thing all the time.
I find it very engrossing, perturbing, but also entertaining. Like this show to me does not feel like a slog. And I again, Yassi and I talked about this, but I have encountered some people who say like, I don't, I'm not emotionally connected to these characters. That's not my experience at all with the show. I am sort of like emotionally all the way in on both sides. All 3 of our Furious women that are sort of leading this show, I am emotionally bought into all of them. Deeply emotionally bought into Scoop McNairy and very worried about him constantly.
Although, this was an odd week for him.
Yeah, don't share this information with Marshall, right?
There's one thing in life you can simply not do.
Yeah.
And it's tell the abusive guy that the woman he battered is now into, in a very different way, being knocked around a little bit on her own terms.
What was the motivation for sharing
I simply don't know. I was so baffled by it. I was like, did we miss a wink sort of conversation like the one Danny Kelly has with Nora in the elevator of like, I can't tell you what to do, my guy.
Yeah.
And it was like, did Alice somehow engineer this? Was she pulling a puppet string? But there's simply no explanation for it.
We will go more orderly through the episode. Here's my best assessment that I could possibly make for our guy, Danny Kelly, not to be confused with the Ringer's own Danny Kelly, and his bizarre choice to share this information with Marshall, which is that, he's like, hey, there's a house, the Jersey Shore. I definitely am going to go there, and I'm definitely going to survive the season and make it to the house on the Jersey Shore. Don't worry about it. Do you want to come with me? And she has sort of like a freak out about it, right?
Yes.
And then when he's having that conversation with Marshall, he's like, get a dream journal, go to therapy, work on yourself. She still loves you. So the line that I was drawing from her turning down seemingly, or at least freaking out about the idea of the trip to the Jersey Shore.
I want to come back to her reaction to that for
sure. And then him sort of telling Marshall this stuff in a way that's like, get your shit together.
Yeah.
And be worthy of her, because I guess if she's in love with you, maybe there's some way to redeem you so she can have what she wants, because Danny Kelly is the most self-sacrificing guy that has ever existed in fiction.
Well, he is Irish, so presumably, maybe not presumably, but could be Catholic.
Do you, is there a more Irish name than Danny Kelly?
There's not.
Okay.
The potato accusations are fair.
Do you like?
Do I ship it?
No, I mean, yeah, I do.
But I was talking about her and Marshall. I'm like, no, I don't.
No. But do you buy that as sort of like his motivation for that conversation and why he might make this really weird choice to share this information with him? Just try to sort of like scare him straight. Because from where I'm sitting at home, there's no redemption for Marshall. But if Danny Kelly's like, well, she's going to be in love with you anyway, maybe you can turn your shit around and be the kind of guy who deserves her. Do you know?
I think Danny Kelly, as well as anybody on this show.
Yeah.
And we're just going to refer to him by his full name because he is a Danny Kelly.
Absolutely.
Sees Alice as somebody whose wires are crossed all the time, who understandably, given her circumstances and what she's been through, just like cannot separate any of these massive gravitational forces in her life, especially as they concern Marshall. And so, it's like acknowledging some of the inevitability of the situation, not just like, oh, she's still in love with you, but we learn over the course of these last couple episodes, I mean, they've had a lifetime of kind of connection and relationship and off and on or whatever it was leading up to all of the stuff that has caused their separation and the violence that he inflicted upon her. And so it's like, I for one, like of all of the characterizations in the show, what they have done with Danny is something I don't think I've ever seen before, which is like the very specific, like full-throated, no questions asked support of a victim of violence.
Yeah.
But so no questions asked, he literally didn't ask any other questions. And so like never followed up and never really heard what happened. Like I'm so impressed by the deftness of that idea in conjunction with all of this other insane shit and heavy shit that's happening on this show. Like they've just found like very delicate ways around the edges, even while being a somewhat knock you over the head show at times, to dig into some of this stuff.
So like believe women, but don't actually talk to women. Is that,
I think it's
is that Danny's approach here?
The idea of like being so respectful of Alice coming to him when she is ready to do it, that it just creates distance between them in the aftermath of all this. And so like that, I mean, that's kind of the heartbreaking thing about where they find themselves, is these two people who are, in theory, the closest connections either of them have, certainly at work. And yet there's still this kind of gulf they're trying to cross. And so much so that Danny has given Marshall the like, I guess get your life together, dude talk.
Before we get into sort of the episode slightly beat by beat, I want to hit some emails we got. We're not doing a cutesy, jaunty little email for this show just because I think we're too far into the serious tone of the show to get cute about it. So that's the choice we've made.
Maybe a saving grace for us on that.
A good decision for once. Also, I did promise our producer Kai that I would plug our live show at the top of the show, and I did not do that. But this podcast is going up theoretically on Tuesday, August 11th. And on Friday, the Friday of this week, August 14th, we are doing a live show at the Televerse TV Festival, 11:15 a.m. on a Friday.
Yeah, that's our time.
It's a curious time for a live show, but that is what we are doing.
It is when we record many podcasts, more or less.
Oh, yeah.
So that's our zone.
This bizarre energy, that is what we will be bringing to the show on Friday. Our plan right now is to do some sort of best of the year so far, but competitive draft style, ringer style, unleash Rob's worst friendship instinct style.
That's rude.
Kind of live show. You are who you are, Rob.
I don't know how to take that.
I mean, lean into the reputation, perhaps.
I just want to pick the good things in the draft that people get upset for some reason. I thought that's what we were doing here.
Come see us. What do you want to say about that? You do have to buy a ticket to Televerse. They have day passes that you can buy. So if you want to buy that, you should, come for the whole festival. Why not?
Yes.
But on Friday, not only are we doing the live show, but later that day I am hosting a My So-Called Life reunion panel that I am very, very excited about. So there's just like a lot of great stuff going, a lot of great programming going on if you're a fan of television, which I presume if you listen to this podcast, you are. Anything else you want to say about the live show?
Well, there's all that great programming, but foremost, we are there. And there will be a show. There will be best ofs. There will be singing. There will be dancing. Joanna will be a quadruple threat on stage. I don't know what the fourth threat is yet, but we're going to figure it out.
Okay, murderous drafting.
That might be it. That is a talent of yours as well.
Knives out for drafting. Okay, so that is what we were doing this Friday. Come hang out, come see us.
Please.
And it is our plan to cover Furious week to week for the rest of the season. So that is something we are doing as well. Quick email check-in. Our listener, Meg, on the Danny Kelly front, our listener, Meg, says, I don't know what to do with this observation, but the show has a plague of what I call girl with two first names syndrome. Catherine Grace, Danny Kelly, Ed George, Oliver Charles. Just something to watch.
I don't think that bodes well for Danny Kelly. I feel like those are the people who are getting knocked off. I
mean, fingers crossed, Ed George. I'm not a fan. Megan and a number of our listeners wrote in with the theory that the young woman that I believe her name is Elena, that Catherine was trying to help in the motel, who, is theoretically Isabel's sister.
Yes.
Strong theory that is actually her daughter.
Oh.
That the timing works out, that could have been the kid that she, in this episode, we find gave up.
Yeah.
So any thoughts about that?
I honestly hadn't even put that together timeline-wise. It does make sense. I mean, they could also be somewhat distant siblings in the pecking order, not unlike the way that Alice and her own sister are kind of like separated by age and didn't really grow up together. So I could see it, but I'm kind of operating on faith that they are actually sisters for right now.
Okay. Our listener, Ray, wrote in to say, I think that the show's greatest strength so far is showing how exhausting it is to be sexualized and or victimized in every single space by nearly everyone. Catherine is sexualized everywhere she goes, and because it's the only thing she's ever been told she's good at, she uses it to manipulate and then naturally resents those who fall for it, regardless of gender. I do worry for Sweetie Steve Ray. That's the actor who's playing Alden, who's fantastic in this episode.
Safe for now, thankfully.
Yes, I was so worried. When they walked into the house that he was going to be dead.
But like that, the fact that you were worried,
that's what I'm saying,
is incredibly powerful.
Yeah,
I don't know how.
Same with that little girl.
Completely. That to me was the moment where the show like really clicked into place. Episode 1 is really good, but when you get to the girls' night with Mira in episode 2. Simply the idea that this girl could actually be in danger is something that the vast majority of TV shows just cannot pull off. They can't make the threat feel real.
And that's why she had to kill that woman from the shelter and stick her in the bushes.
Again, pro-murder Joe. Just the murderess Joanna Robinson really coming on strong.
But I do think that, inside of this episode when we watch Alice, obviously they're drawing lines between Nora and Alice and Catherine and their various flavors of rage and all of that. But Alice inside of this episode, when she lures Marshall to her house and sort of puts on this whole act for him.
Right.
And uses language that is very similar to things that Catherine Gray said to previous, her victims, but also her abusers.
Yeah. The whole thing about like owning me.
Yeah. Exactly right. That's the moment. So like, I think that, this idea of if you're going to treat me like this frail thing and then I'm going to pretend to be the frail thing that you've decided to treat me as, and then that is going to be the thing that sort of bites you, is definitely something this show is interested in. But interesting to watch Alice use these tactics. I mean, this is tale as old as time with any single sort of FBI serial killer show, where it's just sort of like the agent and the killer,
the mirror between them,
and what DNA they have in common, and where are they moving towards each other or away from each other in terms of their behavior. And I think that feeds into this last email we got from Catherine. As far as I know, not Catherine Grace.
Thank goodness.
Who said, I would love to hear your thoughts on the role of law enforcement and all of the moral dilemmas that the show is presenting. FBI is still law enforcement. yes, Alice isn't a cop anymore, but she still works within the system that upholds like this whole problem. If there's a twist at the end of the show, I hope it's about how the system is corrupt and there's no way to dismantle the master's house with the master's tools. Alice works really hard throughout the season, and because she's brilliant, she gets evidence. This is like a prediction that Catherine's making. Alice works really hard throughout the season, and because she's brilliant, she gets evidence still. Because Jay Easton has an in with the FBI or the NYPD, he gets to walk free. So, like, Catherine is wondering if the end of the season is not everything is tied up with a bow and justice is served, but just a further condemnation of the system that we're all operating in.
I mean, we are 5 episodes in. There is not a bow big enough in the world to tie all this together. Like, this is just not going to be a neat ending. I don't think the show has any interest in telling a neat story, which is what makes it so watchable to this point.
Yeah.
Clearly, this is a lot of the focus of Ed George right now as a character, is sort of representing this larger protecting the interests of power sort of fixture within the office and threatening Nora to do it, which by extension threatens Alice in her position. Like, the chain of command there and the way everyone is getting squeezed, I think is really compelling TV.
A perfect punchable face from this guy.
Yeah.
I also love that he doesn't seem stupid.
No.
I think that there are versions of this character in other shows where it's like the guy who's protecting power is so drenched himself in power that he doesn't have to be sort of a smart operator in order to get things done because he just has his hands on all the levers. And so he doesn't. But like the way in which he and Nora talk to each other in the elevator when he sort of lets her know what he has on her and how he can discredit her. I thought that was just really satisfying to have a worthy adversary for someone like Nora, who is a very smart person who is tangled up in her, gets in her own way, as do most of these characters.
Well, especially someone who is smart because he is evolved. Like, not evolved in a sense that he has all or says all the right things or does all the right things, but he's a political animal.
Adapted.
Like a survival of the fittest kind of way, except in this case, it's like he grew more scales and is more slimy and like knows how to frame things in just the appropriate way to keep his job and survive the it sounds like pretty grim and brutal upbringing of his own time in the office and then what he did to people like Nora in the first place and how brutal he was as a boss. And now he's the mental health guy. Now he's just looking out for everyone's best interests.
Oh my God, disgusting. PrestigeTV@Spotify.com if you want to email us about that or anything else.
About your bosses who resemble Ed George.
Correct. And the scales that they have grown over the years. Episode 5, Pick a Sticker, written by Dan LeFranc and directed by Destiny Ecaraga. I thought this was a fantastic episode. The show, I'm not really feeling like distinct individual flavors between the episodes. I can really see a director's flourish in this one or that kind of thing. It doesn't really feel like that kind of show. It feels just more like a consistent, steady hand on the tiller of the storytelling.
I think some of that too is we're kind of equally weighted between these two lead stories for the most part and the trajectories they're on. It's like you already have these 2 tracks. You don't need to get too cute in the way you kind of show them visually week to week to make it feel like Widow's Bay or whatever.
Right. I think the best I could say for it is sort of instead of the one where X does, it's sort of like the Campbell Scott episode. You know what I mean? The Rob Delaney. Yeah. The one where Rob Delaney dies. The one where Campbell Scott dies,
There is like a creep of the week thing happening here that, is great work for character actors if you're willing to subject yourself to that. If you're willing to be like the pedophile or pedophile adjacent person, there's good work to be done.
All these guys lined up for this show and I applaud them.
And they've been great.
They have been really good. So we open with Catherine and Alden, in bed together. And this follow-up of the end of last week's episode when she was talking about how she can feel her fingertips, this sort of trauma response that she had been navigating where she's like, I can't feel anything. Isn't that interesting? And then, Alden professes his love to her. And my interpretation, Yasi and I were discussing this, but my interpretation was like, that was a healing moment for her. There was something traumatized inside of her that was somewhat healed so that she could sort of feel the end of her fingertips again. And then by the end of this episode, when she sees what Hal has on the computer, she's back into her sort of numb, when she's trying to mess with a sticker, she's back into the space where she can't feel things. And that's, Catherine Grace, a murderer. But also, I feel emotionally devastated for her that she is like one step forward in healing and then immediately sort of 2 steps back into trauma space.
That's why I kind of found it alarming earlier when you were saying you were hearing from people who felt like they couldn't emotionally connect with these two characters. Like I'm in lockstep with both of them, despite the fact that you may not be able to get into their exact headspace. But how could you not at least try to wrap your mind around what they've been through and what that would do to a person?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love your read on it, and specifically that sort of like regression back into losing feeling in her fingers again. Like, I think a lot of it comes from the idea that there is a kind of satisfaction that can come from this sort of vengeance. And maybe a kind of closure in a way if you can kill everyone who's in the photo or on the list or whatever, whatever your victim set ends up being if you're someone like Catherine. But like that kind of resolution doesn't heal you. Like you have to do something else to do that. And it probably starts with having real healthy human connections. Like, I mean, Alden is that seemingly the healthiest human connection she has with anyone else on this show. Even then, it's still quite artificial and still quite fake. And I think one of the miracles of what Lola Pettigrew is doing is like the flicker of like, is that a real thing that she's hiding within this larger speech or larger deception? Like there are these moments that are like blink and you'll miss them where you kind of buy what she's selling. And I have no idea what's real and what's not, but that's kind of the magic of this performance.
I do think when she tells Hal, I just don't want him to be alone, right? That just felt so honest, like incredibly true. And I don't know, you're just like, okay, no, these two crazy kids cannot make it work, but is there a way in which this connection could be something healthy? I mean, something Yasi and I were talking about is sort of like, where do you want this character, Catherine Grace, to end at the end of the season? Yeah. Like, should she die in pursuit of her actual goal? Should she wind up in prison? Should she get to go to Zihuatanejo and like get off scot-free? Like what's the ending for her? And I can't tell what exactly yet what show we're watching here. And I like that. It's sort of similar to what you were talking about in terms of like, is Alden going to be okay?
Yes.
Is this girl Mira going to be okay? Like, is Catherine Grace going to be okay? Not in an okay that I think she's done nothing wrong and doesn't deserve any consequences for her actions. But like, I don't know. I get this way. Even with something like, did you ever see Red Dragon or read the book Red Dragon?
Movie,
right, yeah. So like in Red Dragon, where Ray Fiennes plays a horrible serial killer, but there's this just like moment of true connection between him and Emily Watson's character. And it's like for a moment, you're just sort of like, what could have been if he had found this kind of empathy or connection with someone before he did all this stuff that is sort of like uncome back fromable, you know what I mean? And so that's sort of my feeling when I see these two in bed and she's just sort of like gently running her fingertips on his arm. And it's just sort of this like beautiful connective moment that I don't know if I want to say she does or doesn't deserve it, but I just found myself like drawn into it. You know?
Well, especially, I mean, this is why no show that I have seen basically has ever been able to resist the You're Not So Different, You and I kind of structures. Like you want those moments of humanity, even in the murderers, even in the people doing crazy crimes or horrible things to people. Like you want to feel that pull.
Yeah.
And it's so tempting to have, and it's so structurally satisfying. And it's like, it's what draws you into those stories in a way that can sustain having us spend half a season with a character like that, where they're not just murdering people, but you also hear in this episode and over the last couple, like the parallels in Alice's life, right? Like there are parallel lines to a certain point between Alice and Catherine and Isabel, basically. And they go off in opposite directions, but like Alice was a teenage girl who was pregnant at one time too, and her life could have unraveled in a totally different direction. And she ended up here, I'm gonna be honest, here doesn't seem great either in very different ways. Like she's got a lot going on and a lot she's trying to work through, but needless to say, she's lived an entirely different life than these other two girls have.
Would you say it's almost like a fractured, broken mirror left on the wall of
it couldn't be
unfurnished apartment?
But a mirror you fractured yourself because you were seeking out something kind of resembling the very violence that puts you into this mental space to begin with?
It's not always a subtle show, but I really like it.
It's not. But here's the thing. Like, it's not subtle.
Yeah.
But one thing I always appreciate with a show like this is, like, this show to me is all about survival mechanisms, right? It's like, whether you have done horrible things or have had horrible things done to you, how do you pick up and move on? Like, how do you take the next step back into the real world? And every character is dealing with some version of that. And so, yeah, it's not like everyone is on these like incredibly distinct journeys. Like they're all interwoven, they're all overlapping, they're messy in really good and I think interesting ways.
Yeah.
But it's at least kind of cohesive in the story that it's trying to tell. And like, to me, the very real human responses to a lot of this stuff.
There's also, of course, this interesting skin of Greek tragedy that the show is painted on top of all of this, in that, like, you know, we start with the story of Medusa in episode 1. We get the sort of various strains of fury inside of Greek storytelling, Greek thinking. And then I've been thinking a lot about, you know, the room that Nora goes into to watch these horrible videos. And what she tells Alice is like, that's your reward, right?
That's
if
what you
make
want.
It, you get access to that. You get to go into hell and hang out in hell and see how you do if that's a place you spend time with. Like, see how you cope. And if you don't wind up drinking straight rye whiskey out of your Stanley or something like that at the end of the day. So, like, yeah, and this idea of Nora as this sort of, I love this Nora character.
What an
so
amazing
much. Like,
character.
Really good character, incredible performance. But like this idea of like the avenging angel, but the cost of just sort of even spending any time being an avenging angel inside of this. And then also the compromises. Like the compromises she made to even stay here to make any kind of difference is she had to, at one point along the way, and we still don't know all the details of it, but she had to compromise on this Jane Doe case in order to just even stay, it seems like, in order to even just stay inside of the department, you know? And so I think, yeah, the mirror just keeps splintering.
They really do.
Tough.
I mean, so many characters are making that sort of compromise. You and Yasi touched on that last week, too, with the teenage girl who was also, like, complicit in the trafficking of other girls. It's like everyone is getting pulled into these systems and making compromises to protect themselves.
Yeah.
One thing I loved about this episode is it felt like Alice was almost making the inverted choice, where the bargain she has struck or the approach she has chosen to take is like, can you swallow your pain and your pride to basically like engage in this sexual or faux sexual situation with this guy who abused you for the sake of like getting your professional career back under your feet again? Like, can you get this case back and maybe some kind of power back if you're willing to swallow all this other stuff?
Right, when Nora's like, this is the thing in your way. If you can clear this out of the way, then you can get back to doing what you want to do.
And she does it in like the most fucked up way possible.
And like really good. When she pulls that bag out, I guess let's not worry about going exactly in chronological order. But when she pulls the bag out, Fiona Apple kicks in.
Yeah.
Right?
That's how you know.
That's how you know. And to watch her open the bag and for those of us watching at home to begin to process what it is she's looking at. And she's looking at artifacts of her old life. And you're wondering, why did she keep this? You know, there's a part of you that's sort of like, why did she keep this? Why did she keep this clothing that he bought for her? These photographs of them as teenagers and all this sort of stuff like that. And for that to happen, and just the way that the photographs were stacked for you to see them so young, for you to see them actually quite recently, like this photo was clearly taken on the set of this show. Like they look the same age they are. They have the same hair that they have. Like this is a recent in these characters' lives photograph.
But there's more flash, so you know it's point and click early 2000s photography.
Sure. But you can see the photos of her bruised and battered face sort of like in the stack, the way that the photos are being held. It's not like a jump scare that you like come across it. It's there. It's just slowly being uncovered. The music doesn't change. It's still Fiona, like, you know, but her result, like she gets sort of lost in this sort of, my interpretation of the way that Emmy Rossum was playing this was like she gets lost in this sort of slight soft nostalgia for who she was in the more innocent times of that relationship and the safety that she thought that she found there.
Yeah.
And then seeing those photos of her own face puts the steel back in her spine in terms of like what she has to now do to entrap Marshall, if that's how you choose to define it.
And I think what she does only really works because of that self-nostalgia part. Like, because there is still a part of her that is holding on to, like you said, like the version of her that used to exist, the version of a relationship she used to have, like who she thought Marshall was before he revealed who he was, all of those things. Like, there is a connection between them. And there is something that she is tapping into that is still there. It's just like covered up with so much scar tissue because of everything else that it's like, she needs all of that to be Catherine level manipulative in this setting, right? It's like using sex as a weapon to get what you want. Like, we've seen Catherine do it many times throughout the course of the season already, to say nothing of what she's had to do before to survive. But it's like, you kind of have to have that other part to tap into it for exactly this sort of thing.
What I love about what both Catherine does and what Alice does here is that they are relying upon the weaknesses inside of these men in order to accomplish the gambit here. So, like, for example, with Rob Delaney's character, a perfect asshole, right? Completely. But for her to, if he had just actually kicked her out when he first sort of thinks about, like, okay, you got to go. Next morning, you got to go. I don't know that he would have necessarily survived, but like he
would have bought him some time.
He wouldn't have set himself up. But she's like, no, I'll stay here. I'll do whatever. You know, she sort of like lays out this temptation in front of him that he can't resist. Of this sort of like, I own you, my power over you, all this sort of stuff like that. So he's just sort of like walks himself into this trap. And similarly,
and he even tries to think that he doesn't want it, and then he's like staring at the security cam at work. You know,
and then. The guy who winds up being Campbell Scott's like son, that whole sequence where she's just sort of like parked herself up at the table and taking fake Zoom calls is just like incredible. But she's just sort of like relying on, again, all of the characters inside of the show are quite smart. Yeah. And so the cunning that she uses and the way in which she knows how to manipulate people and find out where their weaknesses are and where they're sort of like, we're too liberal to throw this woman out of our house, sort of
she folded boundary. That boy up into some tinned fish. Like, she just sealed him right up. It was nothing.
Tinned fish, boy. What did you think about tinned fish coming back in another show so soon?
Fitting and alarming.
Yeah.
But it's kind of in the zeitgeist, you know? Yeah. Like, look, yuppie liberals of a certain kind do love tinned fish.
It's having its moment on the last couple of years. But what do you think about the trap that Alice lays for Marshall here? The seduction is not just her and sort of like Emmy Rossum said in an interview with Gold Derby that it was like her idea to put his hands on her throat and stuff like that. And then how the alcohol is sort of like woven into that, this sort of like breaking of his sobriety resolve at the same time.
I mean, this is excruciating to watch and so well done for exactly those reasons. Like I think there's a couple different elements. One, just the idea of Alice as basically a compulsive liar is something we've established all throughout the season.
Right.
You give this girl any chance to tell a version of her backstory that is not real, and she will do it for the sake of getting like 1 inch closer to the things that she wants.
Yeah.
But then there's also this part of it where, I mean, frankly, just the idea that a TV show in 2026 would have a victim of of domestic violence seduce her abuser using her sexuality, that it's willing to do that, like the balls on this show, frankly, the three-dimensionality of these characters. Like, I just think a lot of shows fall into what can be a very understandable trap when they delve into things like domestic violence. They try to take it so seriously, and it's very well-meaning, I think, in a lot of cases, where it's like, this is what this character becomes.
But it's very precious.
It's very precious. They are confined to this space. Everything they do in their life is through the lens of this thing. And part of what I appreciate about this sequence and the fact that she would even do this in the first place is that being assaulted doesn't change you from being a human who wants other things.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff going on in Alice's head. I wouldn't even deign to know what's going on up there. But she wants to know who this murderer is. She wants to get back on this case. She wants resolution. She wants to figure out what happened to these other girls and women. Like, she wants to know which assholes in power are implicated in this. Like, she wants to go back to work. And this is the thing standing in her way. And her way of dealing with it is not super healthy, but it is a thing that she wants. And I like that even the damaged part of her is willing to subject herself to something like this for the sake of a weird, bizarre outcome that like I would never have expected and just makes for good TV.
Well, similarly with Catherine Grace, the fact that she's like, in order to, I mean, she could just meet these guys and shoot them in the street, but that's not what she's looking to do. She's looking to torment them. And part of the torment is, I mean, she has sex with them. And she makes them believe that she wants to and that she cares about them and all these other things in order to make the vengeance feel like taste that much more delicious for her. In this Gold Derby interview, this is what Emmy Rossum said about sort of a lot of what you're saying about the compulsive liar aspect of Alice, and then also the kernels of truth that exist inside of this interaction she has with Marshall, right? So she says, I think that Alice is a shapeshifter. It's almost like she's acting a lot of the time, but we get to see her vulnerability and her truth when we're alone with her. So that she was saying that to underline the section of the episode where we watch her get ready. That's like the most truthful Alice because no one else is observing her. It's just us and her and the broken mirror. She goes on to say, but a lot like what I think acting is, she's often using the truth to make a trick work or a commitment to a truth to make a trick work. And so we see her shapeshift into a softer, younger version here. Her clothes are different. Her approach is different. I want her voice timbre to be different and subtler and softer. There are some things that she's saying that are true. She's a little bit drunk. She did have a terrible day at work. She's wearing these old clothes. She's really bad at decorating the house. But she's saying them in a way that lures him in and won't make him suspect that her ultimate goal is to waterboard him with whiskey, to tempt him, to lure him in, and to compromise his sobriety. I have two logistical questions about this episode. One is, do the cops show up that quickly, even if it's nosy neighbor Margaret who's calling in the I saw a drunk guy outside?
You already know that they don't. Okay. Also, Margaret has called the police many times. And the station is like, okay, this woman again.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Take your time.
Okay. Number two, have you ever in your life seen a wanted poster of someone?
No. And multiple people are seeing it and calling it in and register.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Even
I was like, where would I even find one?
My issue is in part the wanted poster.
Yeah.
And in part Alice's recognition at the end of this episode in a distorted reflection that the woman in front of her is in fact the girl she has seen at like age 14 in a photo. I simply could not do it. But I'm not an FBI agent, you know? I'm not a detective of her caliber.
You don't pay a lot of attention to things, Rob.
No.
That's deeply untrue. Yeah, the wanted poster really got me.
Wild.
For both Alden. Yeah. When Alden has it, but then also the other care worker is like, I saw it, I called it in. I was just like, where does one find, like, is it like the Nextdoor app? Is that what we're looking on? There's also like crime. Like when I lived in Oakland, I lived with a guy who would check the crime reporting app like all the time. And I was like, what? How is this helping you enjoy your life here in Oakland, California? It's not keeping you safer. It's not doing anything. But perhaps that is like a place where a wanted poster might come up. But other than that, Facebook? I don't know where one finds a wanted poster.
On a bulletin board at the post office?
Right.
Like, I don't know what.
Your local coffee shop?
A bodega, perhaps?
Yeah, I don't know. Those were just some logistical questions I had about the communication of.
You know what? Plot needs must.
Yeah, sure.
People needed to know that she was a wanted fugitive. And so, you know, the word is getting out.
Should we talk about Campbell Scott? Hal?
I would love to. Roger Dodger himself.
Okay.
So the idea of him being adjacent to a kind of pickup artistry, if not womanizing, if not, who knows what's worse than that in Roger Dodger's life.
I really missed you, Rob, because I was just about to ask you what role you most associate with Campbell Scott. Your answer is Roger Dodger.
It is.
A movie that most people listening to this podcast have not seen, but it is Jesse Eisenberg, Campbell Scott, early Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah.
And it is about a young man who learns from his uncle how to pick up women. But guess
or how
what?
not to.
They learn from each other along the way.
Honestly, I think it would hold up. Like, I think it's very knowing about how slimy it is.
Roger Dodger is such a wild pull.
Well, what's yours? What's your touch point? Singles? Where are you?
Singles is a good one. The Spanish Prisoner is one I really love. I think seeing like Hope Davis and Campbell Scott, who were just sort of like twin icons of a certain era of late 90s indie film is really fun. lo, here we are in the muck and in the trenches from our sort of whimsy era of independent cinema. But Roger Dodger's a great answer, and I'm proud of you for it.
Thank you very much.
But Campbell Scott, I'm used to liking Campbell Scott.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously the show is leveraging that with a number of actors that they've chosen to use here.
Yeah.
And for him to plead his case as someone who's on her side, and I've got my laptop here, and I've got information.
Yeah.
And we can take him down together. And he's a piece of shit, and I've been wanting to take him down. And not only that, but also when she's talking about getting married and she gets the wedding dress out and he's sort of like yes-anding her and supporting her. And
As he sobs.
And then she like turns her back and he's like, I'm going to fucking die here. I thought all of that was really good.
It's an amazing scene. I also think I love this layer of Catherine too, where, I mean, again, the psychoanalysis I think is a dangerous, slippery slope to get into with her, where of like why she does the things that she does. But it does seem like she wants, in the Arrested Development way that you and Yasi were talking about with her, like the approval or the support of these men at times. Like she does kind of want him to say that she looks beautiful in the wedding dress.
Yes.
Like, and she does want, like, I love that her like signature move is like pillow talk. Like she drugs these guys into oblivion and then lays 1 inch from their face.
Yeah.
And then has like this real unguarded moment of intimacy with them in which they cannot move. They are subject to whatever she wants to say. And it's like, there is look, it's not tenderness. I don't know what it is, but like there is something that she is clearly looking for from these men beyond just killing them. Although like the killing them seems pretty satisfying too.
Well, I do think it's interesting that like we have not been taken inside the actions of this horrible photograph that we've seen. And obviously there are like horrible abuses there, but I guess based off of my unfortunate time with Jeffrey Epstein documentaries that I watched when we were covering industry, there is this story that a lot of these abusers tell themselves that they are helping these young women.
Right.
We are giving them things they didn't have access to. Yeah, like money, opportunity. This was the Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein log line, was like, we are giving them opportunity. We are giving them clothing they couldn't have, job opportunities they couldn't have. You know, we are helping them. Actually, they're horribly abusing them. But just sort of like the way in which it's wrapped up in this pretense of care.
Yeah.
And so I think the way in which she is dishing that pretense of care back to them while destroying them at the same time, I think is really interesting.
Like, I guess my question for you is like, do you think that is a jab or is that an honest return of some of that care? Like, you know, like Oliver Charles giving her the glass of water and she brings him the glass of water. Is that a poke at him for knowing, like he should have known how horrible a guy he was? Or is it like, in this weird, fucked up way, I was in a hellhole and you did give me a glass of water?
It's kind of more interesting if it's the latter, I think. If her emotions around it are more complex than that. And I think, and what is even more complex about someone like Hal is for him to tell the story to himself that he was not one of the abusers, that he wasn't there until later, that he was protecting. I mean, there's a clue dropped here that we don't really know what he's talking about. But he says, I was protecting her from him.
Right.
Pronouns, we don't know what we're talking about.
Well, presumably that is probably the biggest smoking gun pointing to the Isabel's daughter versus sister theory, right? Of like the her in question would be Isabel's daughter with Jay Easton, maybe. And protecting her from him,
Jay.
right? Like, I think that would be kind of where my mind would go, but there's a lot of tangles going on here.
That's a great interpretation, I think. But this added wrinkle also of Catherine basically admitting that she doesn't remember.
Yes.
What
huge
happened.
Reveal, honestly.
You know, and so she's on this vengeance spree, but she's also actually trying to find out, because she's like, I don't know who else is on my list.
Yeah.
Because I know who was in this photo.
Yep. I can find them.
Yeah. But I don't know who else is on the list because I don't know what actually happened. And so, you know, something I was saying to Yasi, which I guess now is not true, but I was just sort of like, I like that the point of this show is not what happened because we kind of know what happened. But now I guess we kind of don't know exactly what happened. And I guess my question is, what the alarm bells it kicks off for me is if Catherine, in her various trauma responses, can't remember what happened.
Yeah.
Is she somehow, in whatever degree, complicit in what happened? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, has she blocked it because something happened that she feels responsible for in one way or another?
Or is the reason Isabel got tangled up in any of this to begin with somehow because of her? Like, is there a chain of events by which she feels rightly or wrongly responsible for what happened? I think feels very possible. I love the fuzziness of this and her trying to put the pieces together as much as anybody. And yeah, it could be a pure trauma response, like dissociative, like just like blocking out what happened that night because it was so awful and such a terrible moment. It could be, we're told repeatedly, these girls are just like pumped full of drugs in these moments. And so maybe she's just literally out of her senses. And this was one of those moments where like I wasn't sure how much to trust the earnestness of what she was saying. But when she was saying, like, her theory is like she was literally strangled so much that her memory is bad now.
Right.
And so it's like there's so many ways in which this person has just been put through the ringer of life by these men that it could be any of them or all of them all at once.
And also when she tells the Hello Kitty story and she's like, I did this. And she's like, actually, or was that Isabel? The way in which she has sort of like blurred their experiences together. And you know, the sort of idea of like, I was in love with her. She let me look at her. I fucking sort of thing. So this idea of like, and the, you know, the woman who gave this backstory information about them in the previous episode, how she was just sort of like, there was some
weird going on there.
Something weird before we got here. There was something weird going on. So like this idea of like coveting someone, blurring your personality or your experiences with them and all of that was already kind of in the mix before we got to this degree of damage for someone like Catherine Grace. So.
And especially with how little we know of Isabel otherwise. Like most of what we know is through the lens of either police reports that, I mean, let me stop you from the freeze framing. Don't freeze frame and read the police reports. Like they are among the most heinous things you will read in terms of like the injuries that Isabel suffered before dying. And I believe in episode 4, there was an allusion to the fact that like her face was unrecognizable or lots of horrible stuff happening. But most of what we hear about Isabel is from a police report or Catherine's memory or like this sister/daughter's memory or this like group home worker, all kind of second and third hand and fuzzy and 15 years ago. And it's like, we really don't know a lot about her story yet. And so we're just starting to get these bits and pieces to connect the dots of who Isabel was in the first place.
Yeah, that's a great point. Anything else you want to talk about that we have not gotten to?
On the Hello Kitty front, this is a sharp turn. I apologize to you and to everyone else. How aware are you of the fact that Hello Kitty is not a cat?
For some reason, very.
See,
she's a girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
For those not in the know, Hello Kitty is a human girl.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's wearing a cat mask. I don't know if she did like a nip tuck style, like make me look like
Hunger
a cat.
Games sort of capital.
A lot of plastic surgery happening there. I don't know what happened, but she has, I believe herself, an actual cat, which feels fucked up. Look, it's not my area. I'm more of a like Batsmaru guy personally. If we're gonna dive into Sanrio, but the second this came up, it was all I could think about was like, man, I forgot that Hello Kitty's not a cat, and it's fucked up that nobody's talking about it, including Adrian Murata, who loves Hello Kitty.
Do you think he knows that Hello Kitty is not a cat, but actually a girl?
I think if he did, it would have broken him.
While we're here in Left Turn Land,
let's do it.
I want to go back to this email that I didn't read earlier because it didn't feel appropriate, but you've set the tone.
Thank you.
Our listener Mo wrote in to say, this email is about the revelation that one can make tuna salad with more ingredients than just tuna and mayo. I've heard of celery being added, of course, but Rob's total dismay, near horror, overhearing the simplicity of Joe's recipe for tuna salad has me curious. This is left from Cape Fear. I honestly did not know there was another way to make it. What does Rob add to it? Relish, mustard, spices? I mean, I feel like you simply don't really eat tuna salad.
The answer is don't do it.
Yeah. Because you're anti-mayo agenda.
I want better of all of you out there, and certainly of you, Joe. Like, I just want better for you than tuna salad.
Tuna salad is great.
And here's the thing. If you're going to eat tuna salad and it's just tuna and mayo, for God's sake, season your food. Like, you got to put something in there.
What about some, like, furikake in there?
We're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
But also don't do it. Yeah. Like, there are other foods.
Tuna salad's delicious.
Oh, absolutely not.
No fish salad, no white fish salad. No fish salad at all. What about like a niçoise salad? Like tuna on a salad?
I still wouldn't.
You're kind of anti-tuna.
Especially anything that's coming
Tuna
out
casserole?
of something that's coming out of a can or a pouch or involves cheese. No.
This is so elitist of you.
Is
Some
it?
of us survived in college off of 75-cent can of tuna.
Eat a 99-cent pot pie. Eat a cup of noodles. Like, there are alternatives that I'm not saying they're healthy, but they taste better than that.
Anything else that we haven't gotten to, tuna salad or otherwise?
I, like you, and I think like most people, after episode 4, very dismayed at the trajectory of Nora's character. Like, her kind of recoiling, trying to cover her own ass, like buying into the security of her career over advancing the case in episode 4. Very tough stuff. But I think Alice reels her back in a little bit and kind of gets her more invested in proceeding with the case. And I think she does it in a very clever way, too, that speaks to Alice's like situational awareness and understanding of people. Of like, her appeal to Nora is not do the right thing or like open this case back up for some moral reason. It's like dangling the puzzle piece of the not hospital bracelet of like this thing that she knows Nora was interested in a case she did care about.
You almost got there.
Like, you almost got it, and I think we can crack it together.
Yeah.
That being what brings Nora back in, I found to be like, again, just like a great turn for a great character in this show.
I agree. Where are you on my guy Frank Choi? Are you a Choi boy?
First of all, no one is a Choi boy. The miracle of Frank Choi is like, he's such a wannabe guy's guy and also the most like unapologetic brown noser I've ever seen, to a degree that literally everyone hates him. It's remarkable. Honestly, incredible work by him to alienate literally everyone in your workplace.
Should we consider choiboys@gmail.com?
Only if you are the aforementioned Choi boy.
I might be a Choi boy.
It simply wouldn't be me, but I love what Rob Yang is doing here.
I think he's so funny.
It's so funny. It's such a great presence to have in the office where, again, like everything else is ultra serious all the time. And here's just this fucking idiot who everyone hates.
Yeah. When I said everyone was smart, I forgot. Frank Choi, not smart. Everyone else, pretty smart. But
I think an important presence on a show like this, where if you are having people who it's like, this guy beat up Alice, these super rich men are involved in trafficking young girls. Like, these people are truly awful.
Yes.
And you need someone who's many, 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 many rungs down, who's just like, this guy sucks.
Yeah.
Like, like
this guy sucks in a real basic way.
He doesn't make my skin crawl. He just sucks all the time. And by comparison, I love watching it.
Yeah. I'm a Yara fan. I don't know. Yara is here to be like,
why not?
Pregnant, kind of over it, but all about mental health and is quite helpful inside of the department. So.
I mean, she seems like a joy to have in class, a joy to have in the workplace, just a bright light for everyone who knows her.
All right. Anything else?
The only other thing I wanted to circle back to is that moment where Danny asks Alice to come with him to New Jersey, of all places, as one does. But specifically, Alice's
he's
response.
Coming down on canned tuna and the Jersey Shore.
I don't think that's a controversial take.
I think there are some nice spots on the Jersey Shore.
Even that, you're couching it within couch. You're like, there is this little spot where the sun shines just right, and that place would be okay to stand for a moment, is what you just said about the Jersey Shore.
It could be nice.
It could be nice. The point here isn't necessarily that it's nice. He even says it's going to be freezing. It's probably going to be terrible. But you know what?
Meet me in Montauk.
It's not here.
Yeah.
What did you make of Alice's response to this, though? Where she seems touched in like her immediate response. Like, I think the gesture means something to her. She also seems like deeply wounded, understandably, and then goes home and screams and grounds herself and goes immediately back to work. But like, what do you think she is going through in that moment?
She did the classic Amy Adams sharp object scream into a piece of clothing move. Love it.
Claire Danes isn't around either, so somebody's got to do it.
Someone's got to do it. Maybe this is cheating to use something that the actor said, but Emmy Rossum said in that Gold Derby interview, she said when she was talking about Marshall and what he's in the way of, one of the things she said was in the way of her relationship with Danny.
Yeah.
Like just sort of like her unresolved issues around Marshall are, so it's not that, and I think I already thought this was like abundantly clear, but like, it's not that she doesn't have feelings for Danny. Oh. It's not like they are clearly.
She says that what he does is get scared women to fall in love with him. Like, it's a little autobiographical.
Clearly in love with each other. Like, clearly. And I would love for those crazy kids to make it work, honestly. But like, the Marshall stuff is so unresolved and so in the way that she can't. It's sort of like she can't feel her fingertips. Like, she can't connect with him because of this thing that's still lingering here. And what I like about, to go back to the sort of like why she lays this trap for Marshall, and you were talking about the motivations here.
Mm-hmm.
Her motivation is, I want to get back on the case.
Yeah.
And it's not vengeance for what was done to her, because she did not officially report him when all of this happened in the first place, right? She didn't set about to destroy his career, or we can like dig into like why she didn't report him. But like,
seems like she just tried to run away as far as she could.
She was just like, I don't want to be part of it.
Yeah.
And then like, he's the one who's like now showing up on her case, you know? So like, so it's not that she was just sort of like, I'm going to get him for what he did to me. To your point, it's like, I want to be able to do this work and also maybe go to the Jersey Shore with Scoot McNairy. And I think she deserves it.
I think we all want to go to the Jersey Shore with Scoot McNairy in our way.
This version of Scoot McNairy?
It's
Yes,
just a
I
great
do.
Scoot. He plays so many dirtbags.
It's true.
It's nice for him to be like, it's still the dirt part of the dirt bag, but like he has a heart of gold.
You can kind of smell him. You can smell the cigarettes on him. You know
certainly
what I mean?
can.
Maybe that's like sort of the nice like reverse of this other casting we've been talking about in terms of like casting these sort of beloved figures as these complete scumbags. And then we're like, and we're going to take Scoot and make him just like the sweetest, nicest guy. Except I am very scared. Not only, and I said this to Yasi, I'm going to say it to you too, just in case the show is listening and they can change the ending if this is not the ending already. I'm worried about him dying.
Sure.
But more than that, I'm worried about him disappointing me. Don't disappoint me, Danny Kelly. Please don't do that. Either Danny Kelly. Either The Ringer's Danny Kelly.
The Ringer's Danny Kelly has never disappointed a soul. And certainly never you or I.
No.
An absolute saint.
A prince among men.
Well, let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
While we're talking our beloved character actors who are doing heinous things on this show.
Yeah.
Campbell Scott, clearly not a good guy. The proximity to all of this human trafficking and having sex with underage girls, horrible. Don't do it. He should not defend himself in any context. His wife, Janelle Maloney, our beloved Donna Moss is here, or at least my beloved Donna Moss is here. Is Janelle Maloney innocent? How much does she know and when did she know it? That's what I'm worried about. If she just thinks she's married to a lawyer for rich guys.
You're putting Donna in the crosshairs.
I don't know. Like
you wouldn't stop at red lights to take your vengeance on Donna.
I'm asking proximity to power.
Yeah.
How many rings out do you have to go out before people start getting innocent?
Well, and I mentioned this, but I do think this is why like Hope Davis and Janelle Maloney are like really good casting in these very waspy with love white women who are daughter of or wife of these creepy men.
Yeah.
These very specific types of women. I don't know. I'm curious. Why is Hope Davis on this show? She has more to do.
She has more to do. She can't just be showing up for an occasional interrogation.
No.
That's not it.
No. Anything else?
I think that's it. I think we did it.
We really did.
At least for this week, there's so much more to happen on this show, though.
It's true. We've got 5 more episodes to go.
Actually, I lied to you. There is one more thing.
Okay.
Look, my freeze framing in the police files was not a good time for me.
Oh, no.
My freeze framing in Alden's room, though, quite fruitful. In particular, our guy's got a blue velvet poster just hanging right there, which might be a cry for help to a certain audience, but I happen to respect.
Listen to some Bad Religion.
Does. Also, I think a Predator poster. I'm trying to remember what language it's in. It's not in English. Maybe Japanese Predator poster up there.
Monitor setup.
Great. Like, seems like he's doing some day trading. Seems like he's doing quite well for himself.
I think he's got a lot of money.
He's making it work.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what happens. Like, is he done with Catherine? Or is he going to be protective of her in some way?
I mean, he did literally just learn that her name was Catherine. It was a real roller coaster of emotion for him between, will you be my girlfriend? Oh, wait, your name is not Vanessa, it's Catherine. Oh, wait, will you marry me? Oh, wait, you're a murderess.
Is that your uncle? I lied. I said we have 5. There's only 3 more episodes. It's an 8-episode season. So only 3 more episodes to go. Is Alden going to be okay? Is Danny Kelly going to disappoint me? Is Jay Easton going to get got?
Yeah. I'm
really emotionally invested in him getting what's coming to him.
Well, he's going to get got one way or the other. Like it's
true.
He does not have long for this world. The question is, can Catherine beat cancer to the punch?
I would like him to get got by something other than natural causes. That would be my preference.
Feels more narratively satisfying, but maybe this is not a narratively satisfying show in the ways that we might want.
Anything else you want to talk about before we go?
I'm just so excited to be podcasting about this show with you. I'm so glad we're doing Furious. Thank you for teeing it up. Thank you to you and Yasi for starting us off with a bang. I'm having a great time.
One last thing I'll say. This is one last quote from that Gold Derby interview, which is just something I didn't really fully understand. When she was talking about why Rosalind was talking about why Alice can't shower.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the sort of like the trauma of the way in which Marshall used to like pull her out of the shower in order to abuse her. But she says she can't get into the shower, not only because she can't shower, but because she can't take the gun into the shower and be vulnerable for a second.
Yes.
So this idea of like the gun and like needing it on her person at all times.
Yeah.
I'm just going to end on that up note. Thank you to Kai Grady. Thank you to Jacob Cornett.
Thank you to both safety and vulnerability and those that can somehow have both at once.
Thanks to you for coming back from vacation.
Thank you, Joe.
I know you're going back on vacation quite soon. And thanks to everyone who comes to our live show on Friday.
Yes.
We'll be very excited to see you there. And we'll see you soon. Bye.